like working with famous actors?
What is it like working with famous actors? It's a lot of fun, actually, to work with famous actors. I think after you work with people for a while, they don't seem so famous to you anymore. They are just actors that are really good at their job. So it's fun to get to work with people who you've seen before and that you are a fan of already. But as time goes by, it's even more fun because you get to know who they are outside of the fame and outside of the character that they're portraying on TV.
Right, it's like seeing them as a human being. So
yeah,
like,
and so
another human being with personality.
Yeah, you're a fan of. For me, with The Good Doctor, I'm a fan of the people now more because of who they are behind the scenes, and that just makes who they are in front of the camera all the more fun because you also get to see how different they are than their characters.
Okay. What are some of the steps to managing the different scenes? So like between scenes, like what are the steps to like being a producer? Like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Well, there's a lot of pieces of being a producer on set. So when you are a producer, so the producers work in a bunch of different capacities, whether it's in TV or whether it's in film. I work in TV, so I work as a writer-producer. And when you as a writer go on set, you become the producer. So you work closely with the director to make sure that the tone of the scenes are what they were meant to be when they are, on the page. You are making sure that, you have different variations on takes so that your showrunner has different things to choose from. And you are really just there to make sure that the integrity of the script is matching what is being shot. And the director is also there to do that, right? But the director isn't the person who has been with that script for 2 or 3 months, like writing it and beating it out. So you have that kind of insight that you impart to the director because the producer doesn't normally talk directly to the actors. They're talking to the director and the other people behind the scenes.
So it's like the producer and the director are like a team.
Absolutely.
They have to be on the same page to be able to make the show or the movie or series flow.
Yeah, and if you get, like the last episode I had this great female director and we became sort of fast friends. I just loved her energy. She got what was on the page. She enjoyed the script and she wasn't open to taking a note, just being able to, you're asking like, well, can she do this a little bit different? Can the actor do, a take that's slightly off from even maybe what she thought that the scene would be? But when you're working with a director who is easy to give notes to, that's the sort of the sweet spot.
I have a question. What experiences did you have prior to The Good Doctor?
Oh, prior to The Good Doctor, I had a lot of experience. I had a lot of experience as both a writer and producer, and actually as a director as well. So I did my I wrote and directed my first short film in 2005. And that film was through a writing contest with BET and Kaiser Family Foundation to do a film dealing with HIV and AIDS with African American women. And so I wrote a script and I won $25,000 to produce the film. That film actually really started my career path in being a writer and director because it was the first sort of big break. I was able to produce that film, direct that film, and then have that film air on a national platform. That film then got nominated for an Image Award, and that was really sort of as those things started to happen, because I started as an actor, but as those things started to happen for me with my writing and directing, it sort of pushed me more into the behind the scenes direction of where I am now. So after that, I did more short films. I did a web series. I worked at the Africa Channel for a while producing a show. So just lots of different pieces and gathering experience along the way before I ended up working in network television.
Yeah, that all sounds like amazing, like a great accomplishment. So congratulations to you for all of that.
Thank you.
And I have another question. Now where you're at now, are there any projects that you see you want to do ahead of time, or like something that you want to do like anytime soon, any new projects?
I'm actually working on a new pilot right now. As a writer, I enjoy like The Good Doctor is sort of an established show with established characters, and when I got that job, you sort of know going in, this is what this show is, and it's not as much fun as it is to write for it. It's not my show. So the eventual goal is to be able to have a show that I create, and be on the air and have other writers that help my vision come to life. So when you are staffed on an existing show, you are helping that creator's vision come to life. And so I'm working on a pilot now. I've done another pilot that really comes from my experience as a girl growing up on the south side of Chicago, and family and what that means, and sort of like really taking my experiences in the world and dramatizing that and making a show out of that. So that's the next thing I'm working on, while still working on the Good Doctor and whatever else comes my way.
Okay, so do you use your family or your kids for inspiration while writing?
Absolutely. As I was just saying, the pilot that I'm writing now is, I had to call my sister and say, like, hey, you're gonna see some things in this next script that are gonna remind you of you, because I've stolen pieces of your life in order to make that. And I think the best writing comes from, though it's fiction, right? But it starts from a place of reality, of people that experiences that you had, and then figuring out like what parts of those experiences are interesting and how you can turn those things on their head and tell a great story, out of it. And so yeah, I'm very inspired by my family. Actually, on the way here, Sasha, my daughter who's sitting in the corner, said, Mommy, when I was in soccer class today, I was playing soccer, and then I just imagined, that I hit the ball. And then she told this whole story of like doing splits and going between other players' legs and doing a backflip and like all these things that she saw in her head. And I laughed and I said, that's writing. Like that, your imagination of like things that you would like to be or that could be. So you take the place that you're actually in, which is like, I'm actually playing a volleyball game. And then your imagination says like, what if I was a superhero playing this volleyball game, and then I could flip and I could kick and I do all this different stuff. Like, so it's born out of reality, but then like, what can you put on top of that really that enhances that experience and that other people would find interesting.
Okay, so what was the most memorable moment of your career?
It's memorable. I think there are a lot of memorable moments. I think though the most memorable moment for me like still is right now that seeing my words air on television for the first time. Like seeing that Walking on Sunshine was the first project that I did. Just sort of knowing that I sat in my little 1-bedroom apartment, like coming up with these characters and coming up with these words and And then, months and months go by. And then the premiere night where you actually, that you aren't the only one who's getting to see what was in your head. Like you're getting to share it with the whole world, like anybody who's tuning in. And I think it's the most memorable because it's also the thing that has, when things get hard or when I'm unsure, I think back to that moment. It was like, wow, I did that. That's amazing. Like for me, it's still like, it's amazing that, just something that was in my head ended up being on television the way that was.
Okay. What is one thing you wish you could tell your younger self?
Oh, that's a great question. I would tell my younger self to stop doubting myself. Because I think I spent a lot of time sort of being like, I want to do this stuff, but can I? Am I capable? Is that for other people? And I would want my younger self to know, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. You just got to put your mind to it. Because I've learned that when I really do believe in me, and when I really do push past my fear, my world opens up, like in a way that is amazing to even me. Right now, I was talking about this pilot that I'm writing right now. Even now, like sometimes I'm sitting down and I'm looking at the, maybe the 25 or so pages that I've written, and I'm like, can you do this? Do you know how to finish this? Like, I still have all of that stuff that pops in my head that I have to say, like, no, look at what you've done. Of course you can finish this. Of course you can make this good. But, it's like having to continue to remind myself of who I am, and that when I really push, that I can make anything happen. And so I would tell her to keep pushing and stop doubting herself.
My last question is, what is one project that you would love to pursue?
Project I would love to pursue. I think, well, there are a couple projects I want to pursue. I would love to have my own TV series. And so that's something that I am going to pursue and am currently pursuing. I also love movies. Like, my love for TV came out of my love for movies. And I would love to write and direct a feature film. It's just sort of like big picture. I want to, because seeing your work on the small screen is amazing. Seeing it on the big screen is like heart-stopping. And so I would love to do a feature film.
Another question I have is, can you tell us about the transition from working in broadcast television to now working in scripted TV?
Well, I'm in broadcast.
So like the transition,
Well, I was independent, so that I think that's my transition.
Yeah.
I was before I ever got a job in network television, everything that I did was my own. Like, I didn't have, there wasn't anybody to answer to, right? It's like, I want to do a story about this. I'm going to write that story. I'm going to direct that story. I'm going to do that story the way I want to do that story. When you work on a TV show, whether it's broadcast or cable or streaming, and like I said, it's someone else's vision, you have to write in the voice of that show. You have to write in the voice of those characters. And so there's a challenge in that, in saying, well, like, even for The Good Doctor, like before I started working with that, I thought I was a person who didn't write procedural television, like a show like The Good Doctor or, I don't know, Chicago Fire or Grey's Anatomy or any of those shows. They're procedural. They're sort of like, there's a case or two that happens each week, and you write about the characters, the cast of characters who are there from week to week who are dealing with this different case. I didn't even know I could do that, because that's not something that I had tried or honestly that I wanted to do before I got here. And so it's a really big difference in learning how to write in someone else's voice and then still have a little bit of your voice peek through. Whereas in independent, it's all your voice. They can say whatever I want to make them say, and nobody can tell me any different. But you don't always get paid for that. That's just that's just your art.
How was it being in LA, the entertainment capital, impacted your career?
I think this is where I needed to be to have the career that I have. Just because this is, things are changing a little bit. There's definitely more work in like places like Atlanta now, right? But most writers' rooms are in LA. Most production companies are in LA. So you go where the work is. And so even coming here in the first place, even when I was pursuing acting, I came here because this is where, the work was. And so now they shoot stuff in so many different places. It usually starts here, but like The Good Doctor, we shoot that in Vancouver. That's not here, but our writer's room is here. And a lot of our actors are, from here. And then you find out there's so much production that's going on in different places, but this is sort of the hub.
This organization is called Girls Like Me Project, and most of it is around media representation and the girls being able to see Black women who look like them, who've come from the same experiences that they've come from. So can you just share a little bit about what that means for you, Girls Like Me, that name and that meaning? What does that mean for you as you do your work?
Oh, it's Girls Like Me. First of all, I'm so proud of you and the organization and all of it. No, but I am, because the mission of Girls Like Me is sort of like on the, like it's literal, right? But in the work that I do, in everything that I write or produce or try to create, I am saying, Black woman, I see you. Black girl, I see you. I want you to see yourself. I want you to believe that you can be and do anything that you want to be and do. It's so important. My last episode of The Good Doctor, the one just aired on Monday, all of my guest cast was Black women. I couldn't have been more proud. Like, I couldn't have been more happy. It was like, and it was just sort of happenstance. And when I realized it, I was like, do they know all my guest cast is Black women? Because for me to be on that set, and for me to, like, every scene I was going into, there was somebody who was reflected back to me. And to talk to those women, I had one of the actresses like walk up to me. She said, "How did you get all this melanin on The Good Doctor?" I was like, "I don't know, but look what happened." We don't often get to see ourselves represented in a way that says success and power and just the showing us that we can be and do all things. And when we were growing up, it wasn't always. We just had to imagine that in our head. And so when I get to do this, and I do say get to do this because not everybody gets to sort of have their work shown on a major level like I'm doing right now, that I get to do this my way of giving back, like now, is to make sure that as much as I can represent Black women, the more, the better. When I write, like the pilot that I'm writing now, 2 Black women leads, like it's just like showing, and that we are so many different things. Like we're not perfect, we are flawed, we have all these different shades to us. I want to be able to show all of that, and so now I can't even remember the question, but that's so important to me in my work, that girls like me, that I can be an example for girls like me, that I can be example for my daughter who's a girl like me, and to say, like, no matter where you come from, no matter what your circumstance, put your mind to it, try it out, find a passion, and you can do it. And I hope that my work does that and continues to do that, and that I grow that in everything that I do.